Welcome to the Beautiful Step Podcast,
where we
run,
stomp,
tiptoe,
and tango into the confusing
but beautiful
world of togetherness. We are your hosts, Kris
and Charity.
Now, let's go make our together even better. Hello.
Hi. Hey.
Hey.
So today we are going to talk about the vision you have for your relationship, because we know you have one.
Mm-hmm.
And
everybody can kind of see what they want to become as a couple
Yeah.
in their own heart and mind.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk today not only about how to get there, but maybe some of the things that'll stop you from getting there.
yeah, those stumbling blocks.
Yeah.
So this vision that you have, it changes over time, but you might, maybe when you're starting out as a, young married couple, or not married, but together, and you're kind of in it for the long haul, you might be having this vision. Like, I think back when we were younger, and the vision I think for us was like the quintessential family.
Right. A lot of times that vision stops just at kids.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
we want to have kids.
Right.
We want to be the family. I mean, for me though, like how it looked in my mind was like, our kids would love us. We would be happy and healthy and like have good relationships.
We're the best parents ever. We wouldn't do anything wrong.
Yes, our kids would
Everything's
play
fine.
sports, and we would
Yes.
like do Christmas cards dressed in matching outfits or something.
One of them might be a professional athlete. You never know, a banker or a doctor, probably a doctor.
Yes, but you have these goals for like what you want it to look like.
Sure.
This vision. Or you might be like that couple that like sees those old people on TikTok videos who are like dancing at 75 to like salsa stuff. And you're like, I want to be that romantic couple that's just madly in love and travels the world and like does all those things.
That's us. That's us, babe. Come on.
I like
we
it.
want to
I
be
like
that.
it.
Oh,
But you have this picture of what you want to be.
of course you do.
Here's
Of
the
course
thing.
you do.
I might have that picture of what I want to be, but it might be different than your picture.
We did dance lessons.
Didn't go very well.
It didn't go very well, but I was in on it. I don't think
you really wanted it.
Every guy gets roped into dance lessons at some point.
Hey.
We gave it a shot. It was a shared vision for a little while.
It was not. It was my vision that you were just kind of like.
But I played along.
Yeah. What would you actually say you think is our shared vision, knowing that we've
Okay.
talked about it many times over the years?
Yeah. So we're 50. We're getting older. We're a little more established. I
Yeah.
mean, we're doing pretty well. And I would say for us, I'd like to be a power couple.
Okay.
But what that looks like for us is we dress really weird all the time, no matter what. And we don't care what people think.
Yes. I love
Isn't
it.
that
Okay.
awesome?
Yes.
I also want to be us together as like a talent scout.
Ooh.
For young artists and for young creative people who are bringing beautiful things into the world, that's where I want to invest.
Yeah.
We're at a point in our lives now where we are interested in leaving a legacy. We're interested in investing now in things that are going to matter for the future. And so that's the kind of, I guess, vibe I want us to carry for the next maybe 10 years.
Yeah. So
Right?
that couple that's like doing entrepreneurial things together,
Yes.
looking for people and things and art and culture to invest in,
Mhm.
and really sewing into that. So that's great. That's this great vision. So you understand what we're talking about. You might have this picture, but here's the thing. A vision is not a goal.
Ooh, say that one more time.
A vision is not a goal.
Mm.
You know why? Because goals have to actually be measurable. You have to be able to achieve them. Here's what we just described when we described a vision. We described an outcome
Ooh, yes, an outcome
of goals.
of goals.
And that's the key differentiation. You can't just make the vision come true unless you make all the things that make the vision come true.
High fiving on that.
Right?
That's so good.
So here's the thing about visions. They have to be shared. Relationship visions have to be shared.
You can have personal mastery, personal goals, yes, but they have to be shared if they're relational.
So it's important to talk about, like, do you both value the same things? Do you want the same things? Are the things that make up the vision that you need to get to that vision, are they shared? Are they of equal importance? Like, I wanted to be the dancing couple. He really could have given a So we need to talk about that.
But sometimes in order for your vision as a couple to come forward and to come into reality, you have to do your job of playing along as well.
Yes, absolutely. But they are dynamic. The
Yes.
second thing is that visions are dynamic. They're going to change, like we're saying, over time. You might have an idea of what you want to be, but that'll change as you age and are together. And then that important element we just discussed, that really it's just an outcome
Yes.
of the goals. So for instance, let's take that vision of the quintessential family. Well, what do you actually need to get to that point where you're doing the like matching clothes and nobody fought on the way there and like all of those things?
Holiday pictures that everyone has a red sweater.
And your kids are happy and all that. Well, what does that actually take? It takes probably really shared parenting styles.
Sure.
Or, methods. It takes probably shared spiritual beliefs.
Sure.
So that you don't have
Yep.
It takes financial stability. These are the types of components, the types of goals that you have as a couple that are going to make that vision possible.
Right.
So those components, those individual goals that make that vision possible are the things that you need to decide together have value or don't have value so that you know what you should be working on. If financial stability is of value to me and to you, it's the highest priority, then we might know that those are the things that we're really working for. And those are the things that we're measuring against when we talk about goals. Goals are never good if they involve someone else outside of you being responsible for them.
You can't set a goal based on my behavior.
No.
I can only control my behavior.
Or anyone else's behavior.
Right.
Don't set a goal that it relies on your family or your friends to do and be certain things. If this is a shared goal together, you better be the only ones that have to contribute to that, including your kids. Don't get derailed if your kids don't do exactly what you want. You still have a shared goal and a thing that you've decided is a value. Okay, so we've got this picture, right? You know kind of what you want to be. You've talked about what you want this vision to be. And then you've decided, here's the things that probably would get us there. And we're going to give you some examples of things that might get you to different places. Like, for instance, that parenting one. Another one I can think of would be that you need actual like quality time together so that like your kids' time management doesn't eat your lunch. You probably need to make intimacy a really high priority so that you can stay like romantically inclined together.
I have a stat.
What?
I hear that only 7% of all couples really light up the bedroom.
How is that
Challenge.
a stat? What does light up the bedroom?
Light up the bedroom means light up the bedroom.
What is that? But if you said stat, is it like
It's
they
a
have
stat.
sex three times a week?
I don't know. I heard a sexologist lady. Not that I listen to that kind of thing.
Why
it
not?
was a TED
That's awesome.
It was a TED Talk, and we'll put it in the link.
Who wouldn't want to be a sexologist? I mean,
she's a
that
sex
title.
therapist.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
her
still.
contention is, and obviously she's met with thousands of people, and she says that 7% of them actually have a lot of fire and heat in the bedroom.
Okay, so if you want to light up the bedroom, maybe one of your goals needs to be like intimacy is the goal. Right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about goals. They're hard to achieve because there's always something in the way that's kind of like stopping it or pulling it or making it harder.
So as you're creating the relationship you want, I want to walk you through a guy named Peter Seng's theory on creative tension.
Love it.
So in the 1990s, he wrote a book called The Fifth Discipline. In his personal mastery chapter, he wrote about creative tension. Now, I want to use a visual to try to explain it.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay, so I have a rubber band.
Mm-hmm.
This is me as a kid, right?
You were so cute.
I was so cute. I know. And when I was a kid, I had vision, right? I wanted to be a ninja.
Aw.
I did. I wanted to be, Christian Hosoi. I wanted to air out of a half pipe. I wanted to shred the guitar like Randy Rhoads. I wanted to jam a basketball. And what happens is as you get older and you have this vision for what you want to do, you're stuck in reality.
You mean you can't jam a basketball?
It's really tense to try to jam a basketball. And the further your vision is from your reality, the more tension there is.
Yeah, because you can see how far away from
It's
it you
so
are.
hard to get a guy like me to jump a basketball or to be Shogasugi and run around the neighborhood in a ninja suit and actually be a ninja. That vision is way outside of reality. And so what happens is you have a choice.
Okay.
Well, let me just say this. So what happens is as you're coming up, you start to deal with reality a lot.
Yeah.
And you start to go, you know what?
You mean it like hitting you in the face?
It
and
hits
can't
you in
do
the
that?
face. Like, I can't do this and I can't do that. And what
Yeah.
happens is you disproportionately cast all of that insecurity and all of that inability across way too many things.
Don't you think we still do that though? Like I find that
Yes.
if I fail at something that I really hoped I was going to be able to do, I all of a sudden just kind of feel like I'm not going to be able to accomplish much of anything.
Yes, you pretty much, your insecurities start to show up in way too many areas. And a lot of it has to do being based on childhood and all the things you didn't accomplish as a little ninja.
Yeah.
So here you are, Kris, in reality, Kris as a ninja. I have a choice right then. What I can do is I can either just dumb down the vision to release this tension, because tension always needs a release. You don't want to stay in
It's hard to
tension.
stay in
It's
tension.
really hard.
It's hard to have it like in front of your face that you're not meeting your goal.
Right. And so what happens is you have two choices. You can take the vision and you can bring it back down to reality. You know what?
Basically,
I'm just not going to be a ninja. I'm not going to jam a basketball. Here's where I really live. Let's just go ahead and relieve that tension by bringing it back to reality.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have another choice.
Okay.
You can take the steps, the long, hard steps, the small, long, hard steps to move your reality towards your vision.
Yes. By
And that relieves the tension.
going to Taekwondo.
Yes. Or doing leg lifts and stuff to where you can jump. I mean, you can. Here's the thing that I understand is that the thing that you tell yourself every day, all day long, is the thing that you're going to become.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
And you have, and oftentimes the outward form of your life is going to become consistent with your inner image of yourself.
yes.
And that is just exactly how Peter Sang would put it. He would say, you know what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to move. If you want to accomplish that vision, accomplish that goal, you're not the kind of person who's going to dumb the vision down. What you're going to do is you're going to take the small, hard steps to relieve that tension, to move your reality towards your vision.
You know what strikes me about this?
What?
This right here, dumbing your vision down and just deciding I'm just not going to be that, is super fast. You get instant relief.
Yes.
No, really, you get instant relief.
Absolutely.
But this one where you're actually moving your reality towards your vision is long and
It's
hard.
a lot
But you
longer.
actually accomplish something. You don't end up just with tons of slack and like you're basically stuck doing nothing.
Right. And here's the thing that you have to understand is if you're not moving your reality towards your vision, right? And if you are just moving your vision back towards your reality, you're not living in tension, which is, if you think about what's in this rubber band right now, what they call, do you know what's in this? The harder I pull that,
Power.
energy. Potential energy. And if you are just, getting comfortable and you're saying, you know what, forget about it, what you're living in really is slack. You're living in, I guess, ease, comfort. And those aren't bad things. But you can't live like that forever because you have to experience tension in order to meet any sort of goal.
Well,
or vision.
tension was what builds muscle, what builds strength. Like you're going to be able to operate under pressure if you have built what is necessary and has the capacity. Here's the other thing that I notice about this. Let's say you have a goal. Like for me, it's like, I want a goal of doing certain things. Well, I work towards that. I meet that goal or I'm getting closer to it. And you know what happens is all of a sudden, because it's closer, I believe that I can do something even bigger. And so I move vision out and I'm like, oh, and all of a sudden my capacity is growing and growing and growing, because I realize that the closer I get to vision, the more capable I am of getting to bigger and bigger and bigger goals.
So what you do, Charity, is once your reality gets closer to your vision, you set another goal.
Yes.
Because you realize that tension is worth it.
The thing is, you're going to be living in tension if you're a person who actually wants to do what you want to be. Because let's be honest, here's the psychological phenomenon at play here. And we've talked about it before on the podcast, but cognitive dissonance,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
It's the idea that you can hold two competing views in your mind and you want both of them, but they are directly in opposition to each other.
Right.
Let's just give an example. I want to lose 10 pounds, but I really want the Twinkie in the pantry. I want both things. They're both, like, in my mind, great things. Well, what happens is my mind hates the tension and wants to relieve the tension. So what does it do? It dumbs down the goal by saying, I didn't really want to lose 10 pounds. I mean, I think I look good.
I'll lose 10 pounds next week.
It'll be tomorrow. I'll start on Monday. Like, that'll be the thing.
And
so
the tension goes away.
The tension goes away. All of a sudden, it's fine in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Or you say, I don't, the Twinkie, it really isn't that bad for me. I think I can have the Twinkie. Like, you might change either one of those things just to relieve the tension. People do it all the time when they want to quit something. I want to quit smoking, but I love to smoke, but I want to quit. So what do? Well, cigarettes aren't really that bad for me. And my mom smoked the whole time she was pregnant with me. I mean, surely my grandpa doesn't have lung cancer and he smoked his whole life. I mean, I've heard people say these
all
things,
the time.
right? So, like, you either change how something is viewed in your mind, or you change the goal and you're like, I don't really think I need to quit smoking. I mean, I'm not really a smoker. I only smoke like once or twice a day. That's not really the thing, because we're always trying to relieve that tension. But here's the thing. Tension is really great, because if you're a smoker, you're never going to not want to smoke. Probably for the rest of your life. You'll always want to smoke, but you'll probably always want to be the non-smoker. So you're going to have to exist in that. You're going to have to live in that.
Yes, absolutely.
It's key to understand that tension is actually really good, and it's absolutely necessary if you want to be a person of growth.
So we have been married for 28 years.
Yep.
And I would have to say that there is tension every day.
Yes.
Some sort of tension every day. And it's not as though we fight and bicker and argue, but there are things that I would rather not do at that time, or something during the day will bring up tension. But here's the thing, is we know that we are creating something very valuable, very worth it. And so the kind of tension that we exist in is a good kind of tension.
Yes.
Not only is it a good kind of tension, but we do a very good job of either resolving that tension or existing in that tension.
So there's a difference between creative tension. And the reason it's called creative is because you're trying to create something.
You're bringing something into the world. You have an idea of this beautiful relationship that you want. Guess what? All of your insecurities are going to show up and try to talk you out of it.
Well, I mean, let's just think you're birthing something.
Yes, you're
ladies,
creating
you're birthing
something beautiful.
There's a whole lot of tension with that, happening. There's a whole lot of tension with things being birthed. Yeah. But that's very different than emotional tension, which is just drama. So when we say like we exist in tension, we're not saying we exist in drama, where it's like all of these other competing things trying to pull at you instead of your vision. You could just have things plucking at you that you're allowing to derail you.
Right. You're not going backward or forward. You're like doing this thing.
Yeah. Which is just like, there's no relief to the tension. There's no going forward. There's no earning something. You just have drama.
Drama goes like that.
Very different kind of tension, and not what we're talking about. That's emotional tension versus creative tension. Right. So let's just play this out. We talked about like how we have this vision of who we want to be, and you have a vision for what you want to be as a relationship, in your relationship and as a couple. So when you have this vision and you've decided what the components are, we described our vision to you. And with the components for our vision, we decided that the top 4 components to get to the vision that we want are honesty, autonomy, shared experiences, and intimacy. Here's what we mean by this.
And if we give up any one of those,
it undermines all of them.
We're giving up the vision.
Yes. because we need all of them to get to the vision. So I
Yes.
just want to use this as an example because I think it's really important.
You want me to bring this up?
Yeah. Okay. Let's say one of our goals is autonomy. And by this we mean we want to have dependence in like our own independence, right?
Yes.
We want to be our own people. Just because we're together doesn't mean like we're each other's halves of a whole. No, we're a whole person in ourselves who are deciding to partner together.
Right. So
life.
for instance, if I were to start a business.
Okay, let's say that that's your vision. You starting a business.
Here's my vision. I want to start a business, right? And you have a very good knack of business, right? For business.
Yeah.
And I would say, and I wouldn't say this to anyone out loud or you yourself, but you're probably a lot better at it than I am running a business, right? I might have good ideas, but running a business,
you're really talented.
Point A to point B, you're super good at it.
The administration of running a business.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what would happen is I would start a business and then you would come along and go, hey, what if, you did this bit of advertising, or maybe you should do your books this way, or maybe you can do these kinds of things, And what would happen is all of my insecurities would begin to show up. And I would start to think to myself like, well, I know that I want autonomy. I know that in order for me to be happy, I have to feel like I'm making my own decisions and in control of my life. And the outcomes that, the goals that I'm setting are outcomes that I've achieved. And so, you know what? Either I tell you, no, I need to do my own books and do my own advertising, at least for a time, so that I can feel the sort of weight of that and the autonomy of that.
Which means you're taking steps towards your vision.
Which is I'm moving my reality toward my vision.
Uh-huh.
Or what I can do is just go, you know what? Fine, babe. Why don't you just go ahead and run most of the business? And what's happening is by compromising that goal and not living up to the thing that we had agreed to,
which was autonomy, I compromise the overall entire vision. And one day I wake up in bed and go, you know what? You've been controlling me for way too long. I'm sick of this. I'm out. Yep.
Which is why autonomy is so important. And we look at each other and we're very keen to not be running each other over, kind of like we used to do when we were young.
Yeah. We are on the keen because we've done it so much.
Yeah.
Let's look at intimacy.
Okay.
You could have a goal, a vision of intimacy that you really want. You want to be that couple that's like really in love. You know everything about each other.
I think they call that lighting up the bedroom.
Or, it could look all sorts of ways.
Sure.
You want that vulnerability in your relationship.
Yes.
Well, what could happen is you could go, okay, here's the reality. We're not really like doing all of those things that are going to require that. We're not making safe spaces to do that and really affording time for that. We're not talking to each other about what each other wants. And so we're just saying like, it's really not that important. Like, I think we can last another week. I think it's really not that critical that I go buy lingerie. I think it's really like, I don't think he cares. He's fine in my, if I'm in my sweatpants and don't do my hair. Like,
and guys, you have to understand that what's intimate to you may or may not be intimate to your spouse. So for instance, I have to tell this story really quickly. I remember when we were talking one time,
mm-hmm.
and you love to talk, you love to process, you love to come home and how was your day, all that. And it's a long, very wonderful journey that you'll take me on. Yeah. And it's a wonderful thing. And that's an intimate thing for you to do. You feel like you're really snuggling it. You're close to me. And I remember at one point in our life where I realized, oh my goodness, you're having sex with me right now. Mm. And what I mean by that is by you talking and me listening and really listening and giving you feedback, is you are getting the same intimate effect that I get from sex. And so that's one of those shared goals where you're like, okay, we said we want intimacy. Well, that means I have to show up in that arena for you.
And that means I have to show up in whatever arena is intimate for him, which was sex.
And sometimes it's tension. It's like when we're young, I mean, don't kid yourself. I wanted sex a lot more than you did when we were a lot younger.
Yeah. So you decide on what that goal is,
yes.
But you can see how this might it might change. And you could decide to either like dumb down the vision and not consider it really important, even though you said it was, and it's the thing that you need to make up that vision of what you want to be. or you could let those insecurities kind of keep pulling it back.
Yep.
Or you could say, no, we're going to keep making efforts to make intimacy, however that looks for each other, more realistic. And then what do you know? We become even better at being intimate.
Absolutely. So guys, for me, it was, hey, this is your time. I'm here. I want to listen. I love this. This is as important as it is anything else in our this is one of those flagship big ideas.
Yes.
To sit down and let's talk through stuff. And it turns out I'm more of a talker than you are now. I'm being serious. Am I?
I think that's actually true.
And it's dynamic.
Yes. Okay, so another one could be shared experience. And I remember this was a hard one when we were younger.
Yes.
Like we wanted to have shared experiences together because that's what bonds you together.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, we have this vision of like, we want to have all these shared experiences. But the reality is like, how do we get that done? Money's tight. You'd want to plan this family vacation. And then all of a sudden you get the bill or you look at the cost and you're like, I guess we can't do shared
We're never going on vacation again.
Or you could go, let's revise shared experience in our mind. Does it look like a staycation and doing something else? And do we create other things so that we're still getting shared experience, but we're doing it in a realistic way? So you're making those accommodations so that your vision can become a reality. It's the same thing with honesty, right? You could say, like, we want to have a really honest relationship. But then when it comes time for me to be honest about like what I did or something else, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, honesty isn't, like, I don't know. I want him to be honest, but I don't really think I want to be honest. You could like change this, or you can decide, no matter what, we're going to have those hard conversations and it's going to get us closer to our vision of being a really honest, authentic couple.
Which means, put that back up there, which means you have to value honesty over mistakes.
Ah, I love that.
That's a big deal. So when you make a mistake, it is something good when you're honest. It's better to be honest about it.
You're failing forward and failing fast.
Right. It's way better to be honest about it because you've agreed that that's a deal breaker. Yes. Mistakes are not a deal breaker.
Well, mistake wasn't the goal. Like not making mistakes and being perfect wasn't the goal you decided on. The goal you decided on was honesty. So you have to look at that and you have to say, okay, like quit bringing a bunch of other things that you didn't decide on together into it all of a sudden. Like throwing like a little thing, a
we never
hiccup in the agenda. Like, well, no, that was our thing. Well, no, these were the things we were really working on and we've decided are of the highest value to create the picture, the vision of the relationship we want.
Perfection was not in the deal, but honesty is.
Yes. So
simple.
Let's bring it back to just a summary. What you need to understand about vision is that it's going to be dynamic.
Yes.
It needs to be shared. And it is not the goal.
It's
it
an
has
outcome.
Components. It's just the outcome of the goals. Now, then you need to sit down and go, what does it take to get to that vision? What are the goals that we actually need? Now, let's look at those goals. Let's decide on them together. And then let's recognize when we're dumbing down the goal, dumbing down the vision, or when we're moving towards and what steps we could be making towards that goal.
And it may be that you agree together on one thing.
Yes.
That's good. It's really good. Vision takes a long time to gestate. It takes almost a lifetime to really get comfortable with setting vision and having vision and setting goals and doing that. But it's such a good exercise. Maybe there's 1, 2 things. The last thing I think you want to do is set a huge laundry list and then be like cops around each other. I don't think that's a good practice, but I believe that you can do 1, 2, 3 things to really improve upon and reach that relationship that you want. Create that relationship.
And as you get there to your vision, you'll realize you can set more goals. You can become even greater because you're keeping the vision of who you want to be as a couple in your mind all the time. What do we want to look like? How do we want to sound? How do we want to engage? How do we want to spend our money? All of these things are the things like you should be hopefully excited about because you can picture them in your mind and it's a really great picture. So you have a great future, a great vision ahead of you.
We're excited.
Wait, babe, wait. How do we end this?
By saying thank you.
Okay, you guys are awesome. Thank you. There's nothing more encouraging than you hitting that like button and commenting.
And don't forget to subscribe.
And I know there's more. You have a list. Might as well go down the list.
Right. Okay. Watch the video of this podcast on our Beautiful Step YouTube channel or on our website where you can actually download transcripts and show notes of the episode. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
If today's episode made your together even better, tell someone.
Okay. Now.
Right now.
Today.
Okay.
You can take one step
It's just one step.
toward the beautiful relationship you want in your life.
You got this.